Now, speaking of the Coons Market Black and Gold Sunday Show, Rob Taylor is in studio with me, and we are streaming live right now as we now are on the weekends, kdkradio.com. Click on KDK Watch. We got to talk about Ohio State. They absolutely demolished Tennessee yesterday, and I'll be honest with you. Not that I'm not a Buckeye fan. I have spent the majority of my adult life with many because of the years I worked in radio in Ohio. You went to school in Columbus, did a little radio work there in Ohio as well. But I was really happy for Ryan Day yesterday. You could see like some weight was taken off his shoulders.
Well, when it was 21-0, I was very excited. But then when Tennessee scored a touchdown right before the half and made it a 21-10 game, I felt the same way every other Buckeye fan was thinking, which was, oh no, what's going to happen in this second half? Because if Tennessee comes back and wins this one, they might have fired Ryan Day before he was able to get out of Ohio Stadium. But the Buckeyes came out and dominated in the second half, so all was good.
All right, so I'm actually going to take this from our video stream and put it on my Facebook page because, A, I want to see how everybody responds to how handsome you are, but more importantly, how smart you are, but also because I have a lot of friends and people that know me in Ohio who are nothing but ecstatic about Ohio State and tell me all the time, you don't talk about the Buckeyes enough, so I'm going to prove to all of you that whenever Rob is here and it's an Ohio State anything, I talk to him about Ohio State. So here's the question about Ohio State. I'm going to show you how this all connects. So you got Belichick, Lombardi and company going to North Carolina. For many years known as a great basketball school. Dean Smith, Roy Williams, people like Michael Jordan, that legendary name. Dante Calabria from nearby Blackhawk was there for the national championship team. And people say, well, this whole concept, you're either basketball or you're football, you can't be both. And it's rare that it happens, if any time in my life. I can't think of any school, and I'm sure you will, but I can't think of any who's actually been equally successful football and basketball. But I really want to know why Ohio State is not able to compete on a national level in basketball. They do have national champions in their past, names like Havlicek and the great Bobby Knight, DeBusschere and others. And, of course, Brandon Fush Cheatham from Blackhawk 2 went there. So they've had players. But why have they never been able to ascend to the heights in the NCAA March Madness that is basketball? And they can recruit so well for football, but why not basketball?
Well, I mean, I think you basically, I think you answered your own question. I mean, I can't think of any real programs that can dominate in basketball and football. And I think once you get a reputation for being dominant in one of those sports, so you take Duke University, I'm sure they want to be good in football, but when you think of Duke University, you think basketball. And with Ohio State, I mean, you think about Woody Hayes, you think about Ohio State in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. You think about everybody from Mike Tomczak to Eddie George to Joe Germain to Stanley Jackson, and I'm going on and on and on about the Ohio State Buckeyes, Kirk Herbstreit, people like that. It's just known to be a football school. So if you're a top basketball player in America in high school, just offhand, you throw something at them, they're not thinking Ohio State. They're not thinking, Texas, in my opinion. They're thinking, Duke. They're thinking, maybe UCLA. They're thinking Michigan State. But they're not thinking, as soon as it comes out, Ohio State. Now they've gotten some great players. I think about Evan Turner, who played about 10 years ago with the Ohio State Buckeyes. And, we went to the national championship game with Greg Oden and Michael Conley in 2007, but lost to Florida. But other than that, it's just not known as a basketball school, but it's super dominant in football.
Well, let me tell you this. I'm going to give you a couple of seconds because there's so much I want to talk to you about. Let me tell you how plugged in this guy is to media. I mentioned the MLB Network, and I love Rickey Henderson, and I'm going to get his thoughts on him. I'm also reaching out for a special guest who's the best baseball writer in America on the Coons Market Black and Gold Sunday Show. This is a significant story, but I said the MLB Network, which I love, Harold Reynolds, and I don't know the name of the other anchor, but did such a great job, so emotional. Some of these past players and friends of his, Don Mattingly, Andre Dawson, they were all there, Al Leiter. I mean, Dave Stewart, his best friend, shedding tears over this guy. And Rob said to me, I heard you today. He goes, you're absolutely right about that. So he is all in on everything. But I want to talk to you about something that kind of piqued my interest before, and it kind of came up last night, you being a Black American. And I can't think of a better person because of the career and being around sports and loving it. They were talking about the Oakland area and some of the great players in baseball who came out of the Oakland area. Jimmy Rollins, who's probably going to be in the Hall of Fame, Willie Stargell, Dave Stewart, Rickey Henderson. So my question is this. When I was growing up, Willie Mays, obviously the greatest baseball player ever, a black American, right? Barry Bonds, black American. And you have the Latin flavor because of Clemente, and you still have that. Why is it that you don't see as many young black men playing baseball and matriculating to the big leagues? Why is that, do you think?
It's a question that
Is it a fair question, though?
I mean, it's a fair question. It's just a question that's really hard to answer because it's kind of been trending. I remember reading a story in 1990. Major League Baseball was, I think, 20% African American. So 1 in 5 players were African American in 1990. In my growing up, I played Little League Baseball around Mellon Park at East Liberty and everything. And I remember. I think about the Atlanta Braves. Remember how dominant they were in the early 90s? And they had everybody from Otis Nixon to Terry Pendleton.
Terry Pendleton. What a player.
And I think Ron Gant and other people. So it's just hard. It's hard to answer that question. But what I can say is that in these past 5 or 6, 7 years, you're starting to see more black players be drafted very high in the MLB draft. So while there's certainly less black players playing baseball and when they're younger, I think what we're seeing is for those who really want to take it up and really want to be good at it, they're finding out that hey, you can be very good at it and make a very good living of it. I think about Chris Archer from the Tampa Bay Rays, who played for the Pirates for a little bit. I think about people like him who just said, what, I'm going to play this game of baseball. I think about who's the man for the Dodgers, Mookie Betts.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I think about him and how he. I was reading something on him. He's just loved the game. His parents kept him in it. And sometimes it just, I think you just have to, if you're good at it, just keep going at it.
Well, here's the other thing, and we'll pick it up in the second segment because I want to get your thoughts on Rickey Henderson, who deserves more than a segment. So we're going to talk about him today, Greg and I as well, on the Coons Market Black and Gold Sunday Show. Inner cities, to maintain a baseball field is a little bit more difficult than what it once was. You have traveling squads now in high school, AAU teams. A lot of kids don't even play for their high schools anymore. It's become a global phenomenon. Otani in Japan now has become a big part. Latin America has always been a big part of it. So, and I think the resources and the tools, to get cleats and to get uniforms and to play organized as opposed to playing basketball or football. And all I'm saying is when I grew up, and that other great player from Oakland that I want to make sure I mention, Joe Morgan, who played for many years, the Big Red Machine. I just want to see young men, no matter what their race, religious beliefs, or whatever, if they live in this country, to have the wherewithal, the opportunity, and the space, meaning the tools, to be able to try to achieve and play in that game. And I got to tell you, I'm a little biased. I mean, I love everyone from all over the world, but I would rather see a young man, black or white, be able to make it to the major leagues from America.
Well, here's another thing that we definitely have to consider. Major League Baseball for years has been known to be the league that really doesn't showcase its players well. I mean, I remember reading things about how most of the people who watch baseball are 55 and older,
right.
And they've been trying to figure out ways to make the game younger. Obviously, they have the pitch clock now, so they're trying to come up with all these ways to make the game younger. So just already, compared to basketball and football, baseball has a problem attracting younger people just in general. So when you add that on, you've got basketball, which is very good at attracting young people to watch the game. So just in general, I think there's going to be more people younger people who are going to be fascinated, in today's world with football and basketball than just baseball in general, let alone black or white. I think just baseball itself has a problem with marketing to younger people.
Well, I think the reason the NBA's done so well with young black men from the States because they become heroes in the neighborhoods. And if you get some young black or white kids playing in the neighborhoods and they would ascend to the majors, a lot of young people would want to follow in their footsteps. Baseball's a great sport. They're all great sports. But, I'm a little biased when it comes to the men and women of America. And it's our game. It's our pastime. And I love people from all over the world playing it. but I like to see a lot of young men, especially from the inner city, to have the same opportunities that many from the suburbs have. All right, we'll come back. I got to get his thoughts about Rickey Henderson. And I am right, and you are right. MLB Network, they do great work.
They've done great things. They all their specials. I mean, they have the special of the baseball's greatest games, where the Pirates versus the Braves in 1992, Game 7. Who can forget that? That was the number 4 ranked greatest game by Major League Baseball Network.
You should have did the show that I did with Jeff Hathorne, our sports director, one time when I said Barry Bonds was the greatest Pirate of all time, and he said it was Clemente. Let's put it this way. The phone calls weren't in favor of me. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. He is Rob, and of course, Taylor. We're talking all about baseball, and Rickey Henderson. We'll come back a little bit more on the great Rickey Henderson, who passed away yesterday at the age of 65.